Welcome, everyone. You are tuning into Engaging Walk. My name is Drake.
And my name is Ruby.
We believe in the power of walking together and talking together.
It's a simple act to stay connected, and movement is key.
This week, we have our part 4 and final part of the intimacy series, which is spending quality time together. It's a very, very crucial and important aspect, and one that we're super passionate about, which is quality time. That was our number one
love language.
Love language mutually. So we really spend a lot of time focusing on that. No pun intended on that quality time. And we also took our engaging walk this week over at the Coronado Dog Park. Oh, it's a dog beach park. Mm-hmm. So it's the most northern part that you can go to for civilians on the Coronado over on the beach. And it's a beautiful area. Beautiful area to take your dog. Your dog can be off leash, hang out with the other dogs, get in the ocean and whatnot. And Boba, our dog, our corgi girl, she spends a lot of time outside running around and stuff like that. So we take her to the dog parks and things like that. So
she
can
loves
get her
the water for sure.
She loves the water. We're super happy that she loves doing all those things. Mm-hmm. And it helps us to get out too.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful sunset.
All right, so let's dive into this content. So this is a really, really important topic, especially. So Ruby was just talking about how life, as you go on in your marriage and in your walk together through life, things just get more busy.
Yeah, that's the truth.
They don't slow down. So things can, this is one of the things that we talked about in our main thing, which is our main intro and information about this podcast, which is what the kids call these days adulting. Adulting can be pretty strenuous. There's a lot of things you got to do together. Mm-hmm. And like Ruby was saying earlier before this podcast, which is things just get more and more busy. Kids get involved, dogs, in-laws might start living with you.
Or even jobs, you have more responsibility at work, and that's life. You never have less busy. It's always busier.
Yeah, one of the main joys of life is preparing yourself to take on more and new and greater responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And that's progress. That's what you should be doing. Even as Christians, we're called to always grow.
Yeah.
So growing in our responsibilities, growing in our faith, growing in our responsibilities in our communities, at work, and family. You're never just going to be the child sitting at the children's table for the rest of your life, and nor should you. You should always. That's the goal.
Yeah, you're growing in physical, emotional, mental. Even just yourself.
Spiritual, all that.
Spiritual. Yeah. So it's an exciting thing to keep growing.
But
and
in that growth, what can happen?
Well, you can be sidetracked, or you can just lose intimacy. Between each other, because you will put aside your family, or you can put your work before them, or you can put ministry before them, and even yourself before them, and you neglect the intimacy between you and your spouse, and that can cause the damage into your intimacy.
Yeah, definitely. Work is I think a big one. Yourself can really get in the way.
True.
Your own selfish needs can get in the way big time. Work is another one. But yeah, we recently had a situation in my work where I had to put my foot down and put our family first, despite enormous pressure from the upper chain of command from the military. I mean, this was all the way up to an admiral's level, where people were like, hey, we want you to do this thing, but it wasn't good for our family. So I said, hey, respectfully, no, because X, Y, and Z. And I had to keep reiterating that over and over and over again. And they kept throwing more and more things at me to try to make it more appealing. But I was like, hey, you know what? If I don't have to do it, orders are orders. If I have to do it, then order me to do it. But if I don't have to, my family comes first in this situation. Mm-hmm. And eventually they understood, our commanding officer of the ship was like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, and I respect the fact that you put your family first, and we're going to respect that, and then hopefully the people above that will be good enough for them. And then luckily, you know, at this day at least, there might, but yeah, but that's not an issue anymore. And and I had people around the ship, like people in my division that were like, hey, I learned a lot about how that struggle, that fight that you fought, and I gained a lot of respect and vision for how we should be treating our families, and how the family comes first in a lot of these situations, because there's a balance. You want to provide for your family, you want to take on new responsibilities, but you have to evaluate and talk about these things with your loved ones to see how they're going to be affected.
And I think it's, even in ministry, and I understand, you have to submit to God first. I totally agree with that. But then, I also hear stories where, pastor kids or, leader kids just suffer. Gonna say, I don't get to see my mom, or I don't get to see my dad throughout the days or through the weekends because they're busy with, serving at church. And but I do believe in, involving your kids in serving, and they see how you do it, and they see and they learn from you, and in engaging them, they can become very powerful, people, and got equipped at the very young age. And I think that, that should how it should be, instead of ignore or put your family aside, involve them in what you do, and put them first. Because if we introduce that as a culture to the children, guess what? We just implement that culture to them. Like, hey, family is not to get to be first. Work and other things will be first. And I don't think it's going to help a very healthy culture for the children to receive. Because, again, we go back to like having seen and heard, like, if we heard and seen them for their needs, then we need to respond to that.
Yeah, you're sharing there just reminded me of a small section in the Dave Grohl book I read recently. For those who don't know, Dave Grohl was like a musician that did the Nirvana and Foo Fighters bands, but he in his book discussed how his manager, like one of his main things that he loves to do in his family is be there for his daughters. Mm-hmm. And, even though he's a famous musician that has all these shows, all these commitments, that he's just like, I need to be there for their major life events.
Yeah.
So he talks to his managers. He's like, hey, I know we have this big show coming up, this big tour, but these dates I need open in order to be able to go to this event with my daughter. But, things fell through the cracks, and then like the dates somehow got messed up, and he wasn't going to be able to go with the new schedule. So he's like, that's not going to work. And the managers were able to get him a very small window. So he literally had to go on stage, do his performance, get off the stage, fly from Australia back to California, go do the pumpkin patch thing or whatever it was. It was like a prom or something like that. And then as soon as it was done, he immediately flew back home. Flew back to Australia, and then did the next show. And he talked about how exhausted he was, but how he looks back at that and shows like, hey, that's my level of commitment to my family. And they know. He was like, they always know, like, how, like if I say I'm going to be at this life event, I'm going to be there, even if I have to move tour dates around.
Yeah.
And that's not normal. That's not how people used to think.
Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, I have this at work. Sorry.
Yeah.
But now the new way, I think a lot of people are tapping into what Ruby's talking about, which is, no, my family comes first.
Yeah. And saying that, I used to be the person that put work first because I'm workaholic. I used to be workaholic, and and I used to put my family aside. Like, sorry, you guys didn't share with me this event, and I have planned my schedule for a month ahead. So, and looking back, even I planned it ahead, I could have moved them. Just to show that, hey, you guys are important to me, and when one of the people that I look up to, which is Bill Johnson. If you know him, he is the pastor of Bethel Church, and he's so one of his lifestyle is that he also want to be at his family's event and also birthday. And I remember he sharing about he flew across the globe just to be with his son's birthday, and he just want to make sure that every birthday he's be there. And for me, it was so bizarre to hear testimony like that, because again, like I share with you guys, I was a workaholic, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, oof, I should have, do better. And it took me a while, but I have to like look and apologize to my mom and my family and prove with them through my actions and say, hey, you guys are important and you did to me, and it was my mistake. Sorry for that, Mm-hmm. But because again, I was young and I thought that I want to show commitment to my work, but like Drake said, commitment to your family is come first,
Yeah, I think that can be a difficult thing for a lot of people. I know, like, especially there's a lot of men that are like very hyper aggressive in the workplace and are like, hey, I work in the area of finance. I need to be available. I need this. Yeah, I understand. Even
like nurses or first responder, they have high demand at work.
Yeah,
and we understand that.
Ruby sees me all the time. I get text messages from work when I'm on leave, and I'm like, I don't want to answer these text messages, but I also don't want people at work suffering. So it's like a balance, but
it's a boundary.
We have to talk about that together, because I think one of the major things that is going to be coming up in this area of your life when you are forming a family and you have children and dogs and responsibilities at home, those responsibilities don't go away.
No.
So someone's doing them. It's just a matter of who. Is it your children? Are those responsibilities that are appropriate for children? I think that's something that Ruby and I discuss pretty often, is that there was a lot of responsibilities that were thrown on us, being the eldest in our families, respectively, that, I had to take care of my younger brothers and sisters, mm-hmm. and luckily they're all like very close in age, so it wasn't like, but one of them is pretty far away. So I had to like change his diapers, like do this and do that, like, which is, good. But you also have to understand, like, what is the reasonable expectation for children to be taking on these responsibilities, and is that something that they should be doing at that age? So all these sorts of questions are going to be falling into that category. So I think also what we have to do is we have to define or describe like what quality time looks like.
Yeah, plan it out. Be intentional about it.
Yeah, so we have to discuss like, okay, hey, all these responsibilities, it's fine for the children to do this because that's appropriate for children to do, like maybe doing laundry, things like that. But we also have to talk about like when we are spending family time together, what does that look like? Mm-hmm. Like if we're going out to the movies, or if we're hanging out at home together and we're,
or playing games together, or something that build the relationship up. And as a for couples, I think it's very important too, because that is time when you connect, and life get busier and so many noises around your relationship. So you want to tune your partner voice up even stronger and closer, so you can hear that person needs, and feed into that, and take care of yourself too. So I think one thing that at the very I think as was our very first New Year, spending time together, and before I sent him out for the underway, real long underway. We just look over mountains, and then watch the sunset, and he talked to me like, hey Ruby, whatever that happens next or to us, even like but I want us always have this time of connecting. And I think that is, yeah, I want that too. I want that for my relationship because this is how I keep my connection with you alive. This is how I get to know you deeper. And I know that, as life keep changing, people too, we adapt, we change, we evolved with life. And I cannot expect I know Drake, 2 years ago, and he's still the same. He will be the same, but there's also, part of Drake is changing, evolving to his new role, so I have to listen to him. We need to have that time to get updated and even like, I think it's also healthy just, vent out a little bit and but make sure that, your partner knows, because like, hey, I just need somewhere or a place or a person to vent. Can you do it? And then vent it out. And, so, but if you want a feedback, then you also let them know like, hey, after I share this, can you give me a feedback? So, those are also ideas that we do for, sharing the quality time. Cause we not, for me, quality time is like, venting it out, sharing something that's really dear to your heart, all of a sudden dreams and things that you want to do together, and or just something that you only want to try but you never dare to do it. So now you have a partner, then encourage you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's so much that happens in the quality time where you spend so much time with each other. And like, this is a perfect episode for us to be doing this because we just did a really long trip together and it was really fun. But during that entire trip, we were like with each other 24/7.
I just do the math. Okay, so it's 144 plus hours together.
Yeah, just straight. Driving, staying at hotels, doing sightseeing, eating, sleeping, like,
dreaming together.
Yeah, just the whole time. Us, my wife and I, and then Boba, our dog. Like the whole time we're together.
Yeah,
and it was amazing because that was the first time that we have done a trip like that, and it won't be the last. But that was the first time that we've done a trip like that, and I think once you spend that much time together, and just in our normal day-to-day life. Throughout the week, we spend a lot of time together. It's very rare that I go off and do something on my own, and it's very rare that Ruby goes off and does something on her own. And we're getting close to our anniversary.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of quality time together, and we just want to keep that going. And that's one of our missions. Is, and then that involves checking each other. Like, hey, get off your phone, come and hug me, or just doing little silly things together. And I remember, I'm thinking about back also to my childhood, that some of my favorite bonding times with my family was, like that we just went on a camping trip, like camping trips.
Just do things that you experience together.
Like there was no cell phone reception where we were at in Yosemite.
Nope.
So we were just hanging out,
chilling and hanging around,
watching the stars, hang up by the campsite, the campfire, just cuddling, connecting, being together. It just shows you that like you can just disconnect from the rest of the world and just be together. And I think when you disconnect from there, you connect fully. Yeah,
and you start hearing from your partner what they share from their hearts, what's really on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I also was reminded of times where I had these neighbors when I was growing up, a couple that lived across the street from us. Very wonderful, beautiful couple. And they would come over. It was like about a few months stretch where we did this pretty consistently. But there was a stretch for, like a few months where we did game nights on Fridays. And I must have been around like 13, 14 at the time. And my brother was probably, around the same age, 13, 14. And they would come over and we played this game called like The Big Taboo. It's a board game, and it was just so much fun. A whole family all together. We would just get together and play these games, these board games, and I think yeah, we could use more of that. In
We do
families.
have our board games, but we don't have enough people.
Yeah, it's
we need
just the
more
two
people
of
to
us.
coming over.
And I'm not very competitive on board games.
Oh, I'm totally different. Yeah, I somehow come to games. I'm very competitive. Yeah, sorry. Especially Uno.
Yeah, you got it.
Sorry. Yeah, Uno. Yeah, super competitive. If my friends have played with me, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Super.
Ruby's very competitive.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll just let her win, whatever. But she gets mad. She's like,
yeah,
"You
no,
shouldn't
you
win."
have to play your best. That's how you do life. Sorry, guys. Yeah, very competitive. Anyways,
So that's I think a lot of ways that you can spend quality time together is you might have to force your family into disconnecting from the outside world to connect fully with the family because it's very unique and wonderful experience
yeah,
to be like, hey, you know what? All we have is each other. Having internet, nothing else. All we have is each other. Let's just connect and hang out and have a good time. And I think a lot of older people will be like, yeah, that's how things were, but
oh yeah, we saw like old couples at the campground. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw tons of them and
Just-
families.
yeah, Ruby was like, it's kind of weird that they're just like sitting there reading a book. Like they come all the way to Yosemite just to hang out together and read a book. I'm like, yeah, but that's beautiful, right?
Yeah, I'm a city girl, guys. I'm not doing well in nature. I love nature, but just 1 or 2 day, not long time. So for me, I'm like, what I'm gonna do? I'm just look at the creek, water. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
But to be honest, when you spend enough time in nature, you start seeing like something in you starting to stir up, and I say, oh yeah, I can do this with nature.
Time just goes by so much slower, but fast at the same time.
yeah, and I think your creativity start kick in. So yeah, definitely to try that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to doing more trips like that. We discussed like different family trips that we want to do together, and I think just doing that together with just the two of us with Boba made us more prepared and more like accepting of like again increasing responsibility that we're gonna take our whole family next time.
Yeah, and then we can be their tour guy.
Yeah, and they're gonna be like, what? No cell phone reception? What am I gonna do? Oh, we're just gonna play Uno and hang out by the campfire
Yeah,
and love it.
yeah, all the memories, all the good stuff.
So that's ways that we've connected lately. And like I said, we have ways to check each other to make sure that we are connecting during our time together.
Yeah,
Even though we spend a lot of time together, but there's always, like Ruby was saying earlier, like we constantly want to keep checking in because life changes us in certain ways. In certain ways, we're always just going to kind of be the same. But in other ways, it changes us, and we have to constantly check in and be like, hey, where are you at now? Like, what's going on with you?
Or sometimes I will ask Drake these questions like, "Hey, do you feel loved by me? Or what are the ways that you like the way I show love? And is any way that you want me to improve in loving you?" Those are even though this is like very short questions, but sometimes it take some minutes to think about and reflect on that. So definitely good questions to ask your partner. Like, hey, do you feel loved? Do you feel safe? Do you feel, I'm loving you the way that you want it? Or what else that, can I love you more? So I think that also give you a hint to love your partner well.
Yeah, I think that's a good assignment right there.
Oh, yes.
That's a good assignment right there is take note of things that your partner does that make you feel fulfilled. Or like, oh yeah, I love that. And then use that during your connection time to say like, hey, you know what what are some things that I've done that make you feel loved lately? And put the phones away, sit on the couch or sit on the table, look each other in the eyes, and just spend that time connecting. And then another thing, a good assignment would be plan one trip or one date together where you are totally connecting, whether it be on a hike,
Yes.
or a little camping trip, or some type of date where like you are both just gonna be into each other and connecting, and then have some ideas, have some topics that you like to discuss during that time, or have some things that have been going on in your life that you'd really like to share with your partner that you haven't had the chance to talk about lately, or things that are happening in the world that you'd like to tell them about that you've noticed and that you want to get their opinion on.
Yeah. Well, having said that, thank you so much for spending time with us. And again, we appreciate every single minute that you spend with us. It means so much. And don't forget to leave a comment, a feedback, or even a topic that you think that we should talk about.
Yes.
And then, send us. We will read every single feedback message to us. Thank you so much. And you are rocking your relationship because you are putting time in this and just showing that you want to make it work. You want to improve it. And so proud of you guys. And thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to reiterate that. Thank you for helping us grow the podcast. We hope to grow it more and have more people tune in and gain access to a community of people that are trying to just make relationships healthy, happy, and more engaging walks and connecting. And with that deep connections comes so many things that we could take on as couples and in our community. So we definitely want to thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. So we're wrapping up our intimacy series, and we have our Yosemite trip plus a bunch of other things that happened during this trip coming up for you guys. And we're so looking forward to showing you guys this video and clips from it.
Yeah. Well,
so stay tuned in for that for next week. And then after that, we've got another series that are coming up. And we're really looking forward to doing that with you guys as well.
all right.
So with that, this is Drake and Ruby from Engaging Walk.
We are signing out. Thank you, guys. Bye.